Chapter 1. The Bastard Hunters. King Edward Masinga, popularly known as K.E. Masinga, was the first black person to be appointed by the South African Broadcasting Corporation as a radio announcer in December 1941. There is a story, probably apocryphal, that is often told about how he came to be appointed in the first place. It is claimed that one day he was walking down Aliwale Street in Durban when he noticed a building and decided to walk inside. Lo and behold, he discovered that the building was the Durban home of the SABC, which was the only institution at the time that did radio broadcasting in South Africa. Upon making the discovery, Masinga decided to ask for a job as a radio announcer and was appointed on the spot. The decision by the SABC to appoint Masinga was a manifestation of the South African government's strategy to popularize its participation in the Second World War. It had identified the black population as one of the key constituencies whose support for its involvement in the war had to be won. Thus, it was that Masinga was appointed to broadcast the news from the battlefields to the black population. As Masinga would later relate, he was given a few minutes a day, at most 3, to read his news broadcasts about the war. From those humble beginnings, the seed of black radio broadcasting was planted. When the apartheid government decided in 1960 to establish Radio Bantu, Masinga became the face and the anchor of its isiZulu section. The section later became Radio Zulu, today known as Ukhozi FM, which has the largest listenership on the African continent. Masinga is rightly recognized as a pioneer of radio broadcasting in South Africa and has received many accolades, including having a main road in Durban named after him. The public acclaim that Masinga enjoyed was, however, not new to his family. Another widely known family member was his maternal uncle, Pixlika Isaka Seme. So integral and close was Masinga to the Seme family that he became its historian. The record of the CMF history that Masinga left after his death in 1990 is likely the only reliable source of information by any family member about the origins of the Seme family and how it ended up settling at Inanda Mission outside Durban. How the Seme clan acquired its name is the stuff of legend. According to Masinga, the Semes were part of the Mthethwa tribe who were scattered between the Black and White Mfolozi rivers during the reign of King Dingiswayo Kajobe. After the death of his father, Dingiswayo sent a group of strong young men selected from his army on a lion hunt. He wanted certain body parts to use as umuti to strengthen him. When Dingiswayo's hunting party came face to face with the lion, a hunter tried to kill it by stabbing its left shoulder, but the lion did not die. A second hunter left only a scratch on the lion's body when he tried to stab it, after which others used their sticks to kill the creature. On the way back, the hunter struggled to find food, which forced some members of the party to resort to eating bastard birds. When the hunters arrived at Dingiswayo's homestead, they handed him the dead lion. When Dingiswayo looked at it and asked who had stabbed it on the left shoulder, a man responsible was pointed out to him. Dingiswayo was pleased with the hunter's efforts, and he rewarded him with cattle and gave him a place to build himself a big homestead. Dingiswayo said that the hunter and his followers would henceforth be known as Abakwanqele, the Nqele family, for the man's role in stabbing the lion. The king then asked what had caused the scratch on the creature's body. He was informed that one of the hunters had tried to stab the lion but missed his mark. The king was happy for his efforts and rewarded him with cattle and a space to build his homestead. He called the second hunter and his followers the Msweli clan, those who missed. The king was also told about the difficulties his hunting party experienced trying to get food. He was informed that some of the hunters had even resorted to eating bastards, amaseme. Dingiswayo named the group that hunted and ate these birds Abagwa Seme, the Seme clan. Thus, from the single hunting episode emerged the Nqele, Msweli, and Seme clan, who all originated from the Mthethwa's tribe. It is, of course, difficult to ascertain the veracity of the story told by Masinga. The similarities it shares with Alfred T. Bryant's version in Olden Times in Zululand and Natal, published in 1929, are nonetheless striking. Like Masinga, Bryant states that the Seme clan belongs to the broader Mthethwa tribe and is related to the Nqeles and Mswelis. Bryant's explanation of how the Seme clan acquired its name, however, different from Masinga's. For Bryant, it started with a conflict that arose in Mthethwa's tribe when an unnamed Mthethwa king decided to marry Msweli's daughter or sister, perhaps as a reward or to distance the Mswelis from the Mthethwas. The king then gave the Mswelis a clan name of their own, Abakwanqele. With his newfound royal favor, Msweli, with the assistance of the king, attacked his senior brother, driving him and his followers to the marshes along St. Lucia Bay. The land was not conducive to pastoral or agricultural pursuits, so, owing to the concentration of bastards in the area, they resorted to bastard hunting. As a result, they came to be known as Abagwaseme, the bastard people. It was from these bastard hunters that Isaka Seme, father of Pixley and his siblings, originated. By the time he migrated south to Inanda, it appears that certain sections of Seme clan had already moved from St. Lucia Bay and settled in the Mtuba and Hluhluwe areas. Some went as far south as the Hlabisa and Nongoma districts. According to one of Isaka's sons, Ponqela Lindley, Isaka's family did not move very far from St. Lucia Bay. Isaka's father, Sinono, appears to have settled in what is today known as Mtuba, where he married a daughter of Duma Kamseleku Kalwandle. Sinono was a son of Mbuyaze of Jonjo, of Kuwana, of Nkumbela, of Sokoti, of Seme. From that marriage were born children, one of whom was a boy whose original name is unknown, although he became known as Isaka Seme when he settled at Inanda Mission outside Durban. The circumstances that led Isaka to leave his home and travel to faraway Inanda are murky. A story that has gained currency is that when Sinono, Isaka's father, died in one of the wars, probably between Ndwandwes and the Mthethwas, his wife gave up her son, Isaka, to missionaries who were passing by. The story goes that Isaka had acquired the skill of driving horse-drawn carriages. Upon learning this, the missionaries hired him to be their driver as they traveled around South Africa. This story is how Isaka ended up at the Inanda mission of the American Board of Missions, ABM. Seemed improbable, however. Firstly, there is no evidence that any of the ABM missionaries traveled as far as Mtuba area in the early to mid-1800s. The missionary who went furthest up the north coast and into Zululand was Reverend George Champion. Yet, even in his case, nothing suggests that he reached the Mtuba or St. Lucia area. The only mission station in the vicinity of Mtuba was the Entumeni mission, built by Bishop Hans Scholder of the Norway Mission Society in 1843. No claim has been made that Isaka Seme worked with Norwegian missionaries, and there is no evidence to that effect. Masinga appends the claim that Isaka left his family in Tuba or St. Lucia in order to work for missionaries. After Sinono Gambuyazi died, his family fell victim to the dispossession and displacement that generally accompanied the migration of white people into the interior of South Africa. Family members were forced into working for white farmers in what Masinga called slave-like conditions. It was while he was a farm laborer that Isaka became proficient in the Dutch language. Isaka was also given a Dutch or Afrikaans name, Isak. So intolerant were the working conditions, however, that Isaka, together with his kinsman Slako Mthethwa, decided to run away. Both men ended up at Inanda Mission. There, either he or the American missionaries changed his name to Isaac. The English version of Isaac. When Reverend Daniel Lindley, founder and head of the mission at Inanda, decided to work as a missionary among the Boers who spoke Dutch, he took along Isaka Seme as a translator and also to assist with transportation. According to Masinga, Isaka Seme was not taken from Mtuba or St. Lucia because he was a skilled transporter. Rather, he became a skilled transporter while at Inanda. No other sources corroborate Masinga's version of Isaka's arrival at Inanda. Indeed, as Masinga's cousin George Seme suggests, it is possible that Isaka left home in search of Christianity. Whatever the reason for his migration, when Isaka arrived at Inanda, he was assimilated into the community and soon became a prominent member. He married Eliza Bulose, whose family were related to the Ndelus and Mselekus and the Dumas. It has been suggested that Isaka's wife was in fact Sarah Mseleku, though Seme and his siblings always recorded their mother's name as Eliza. Masinga, her grandson, recorded her name as Bulose, not Mseleku. There is no historical record of how Isaka and Eliza met. Her Christian name suggests that she was or became part of the community of the converted. Eliza and Isaka had 11 children, 5 boys, Mosh, Nompondo, Mbekwana, Isaac, Mboqela, Lindley, and Pixley, and 6 girls, Lucy, Lottie, Sana, Speke, Dalita, and Martha. They named Marsh, their eldest child, after Reverend Samuel Marsh, founder of the American Zulu mission at Tafamasi in Natal. They named another son Lindley after Reverend Daniel Lindley, while Pixley was named after Reverend Stephen Pixley, also of Inanda Mission. The girls too were named after prominent members of the Inanda Mission Station. Although active in the community life